Getting started in the world of property investing can be confusing, daunting, and feel a little bit hard at times. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly what it takes to get started in property if you only have £10,000 to start with. But how do you make those first moves to help buy an asset that gains phenomenal value over the course of an entire lifetime? As someone who is just getting started in the industry and learning the ropes, I can tell you that property is hard work, it takes dedication, and it's also a long game as well. And yes, you do need money to get started in property investing, because it wouldn't be called property investing for no reason. That's because you need money to be able to start. Luckily for me, I have a flat in London and I rent out the spare room, which makes me a decent amount every single month, and I'm sitting on a pot of cash at around £50,000 to £55,000 to get started on my very first project. Now, I spent the whole Christmas period and all in January looking at properties, going to loads of viewings and analysing deals. At the moment, the property market is still a little bit too hot, and the deals that I'm looking at are selling either at the break-even point or well above what they're worth. So I'm going to just see what happens, keep an eye on the market and keep going. The big question is, can you get started if you have £10,000 in your bank account and you're looking to get started in property investing? Well, the answer is no, not really. It is possible, but for the majority of people, that is nowhere near enough money. Costs like stamp duty and taxes alone can cover more than £5,000 to £6,000. Solicitors, of course, cost money as well. And all of this adds up, leaving you a really small amount of money. And typically with buy-to-let property, you need a minimum of 25% loan to value. So if you bought a house for £80,000, the deposit alone would be 20, plus then stamp duty, legal fees and other costs on top of that as well. But you shouldn't be disheartened by this. Instead, you should be focusing on a plan and a strategy over the next few years, be that 3 years, 5 years, on how you can get started in property when the time is right and when you have enough money. If you're young and or new to the property investing world, this can be broken down into 3 simple areas that you should be focusing on and working towards your property investing dream. In the first part, we'll talk about saving more money. In the second part, we'll talk about your business plan and strategy. And in the third part, we'll talk about training and education. And this bit is really, really important, so stick around until the end. And before we jump into these 3 key areas on getting started in the world of property investing, my key advice to you is that if you don't already own your own home in your personal name, then you should definitely do that first. The reason being is that you'll have more buying power because you can get higher loan-to-value mortgages from the banks. The rates are cheaper. What I didn't realise when I bought this new build flat is that actually you could buy an older property and then over time save up more money and then refurbish it, putting in a new kitchen, putting in a new bathroom, and then all of that value and the equity that you create in the property is all tax-free. And I wish I would have done that in hindsight, and I definitely will do it for the next property that I buy after I sell this flat in a few years' time. But the main thing is here, just forget about buy-to-let, HMO, serviced accommodation, all of those different property strategies. If you don't own your own home, then do that first, because that is the best way to get started in property investing, hands down. If I was to bring this to life in a real example, you could buy a house worth, say, £75,000. Now, with a 90% loan-to-value mortgage, which is quite common in the residential side of the market, you would need a deposit of just £7,500 to buy that place. And then that also leaves you a little bit of money on the side for things like legals and other costs associated with it. Now, because the property is only £75,000 and it is your first property, the stamp duty will be completely free, so there's nothing to pay there. And then it just leaves you with things like legal costs and any kind of smaller surveys and different things that you need to do with the bank as you get your mortgage, possibly a mortgage or a broker fee as well there. But otherwise, that is just about doable with £10,000. And then over time, you can live in the property, start paying off the mortgage. If you could rent out the spare room, that would be incredible, because then you will have more money to save from the rent on the spare room, and then you can then put that onto a kitchen refurb or a bathroom refurb and begin to increase the equity and the value of the property, which again is all tax-free. Okay, so back to the 3 areas, and let's go into each of these in more detail. So thirdly is saving more money. Now, in 2021, £10,000 isn't a lot of money. However, a massive well done for saving that amount of money in the first place, because some people do struggle to save that amount of cash. You've already entered the 5-figure zone, and all you have to do is just keep going and doing what you're doing. But the key thing here is just to keep on building up that cash pot, invest it into a stocks and shares ISA or somewhere where it's going to grow more than a 0.1% interest bank account. And then over time, be that 2 or 3 years, you'll realise that will grow and grow, and you'll have more buying power, because the more cash you have, the more power you'll have as a property investor to get the right deal and also unlock better amounts of finance. Alternatively, you could look at starting some kind of side hustle. Now, this is something that I've always been a big, firm believer of, because when I was younger, I started a graphic design freelance business and did a mixture of design and SEO and internet marketing on the side. And I'd probably say over the past 10-ish years, it's probably made about £30,000 to £40,000 of revenue over that amount of time. Now, that might sound like a lot to some people, but also it is over 10 years and therefore might not sound like very much. But that is still an extra £30,000 to £40,000 that I have in my pocket that I wouldn't have otherwise had. And if I was saving that into an ISA or stocks and shares over that course of 10 years, there are so many ways to make money in 2021 online, be that selling your services and skills on Fiverr.com, which is what I do. You could sell those same services on specialist forums, and they do exist online. You could start an Etsy store, and if you're into crafts and creating things, then you could do that as well. Or you can buy old, cheap items on eBay and then resell them for a higher price, and people make an absolute killing doing this. There are people making more than 6 figures a year from finding old auction lots of gadgets and tech and things that have been ex-display within stores, and then they sell them on eBay for a profit. It's a great way to make money, and we live in this incredible online age, so definitely take advantage of that worldwide storefront that you have at your lap, which is your laptop and the internet. And then if you can save a small amount, be that £100 or £300 every single month, that is really going to go a long way in 2 to 3 years time, and that's how you should start growing your pot from 10k to 30, 40, 50, even £60,000. Number 2 is your strategy and business plan. Now, if you haven't already, I highly recommend checking out my video that I did on creating a property business plan to really help you understand where is it you want to go in property. Is it something part-time? Is it your pension? Do you need cash flow and therefore want to replace your job as soon as possible? Because there are different strategies and different amounts of money required for each strategy. So think about what is it that you want to do. So you can check out a link that I'll leave up here in the video that will point you to my property business plan video. The key here is understanding, for example, how much time do you have? So do you have the time and the money to invest into a flip project? If you only just have enough money for a buy-to-let, how are you going to afford the refurb project? Or is it just vanilla buy-to-let that you're interested in, and actually you don't need to get a builder in and completely revamp a property? By understanding all of this, you can start to plan the finances as well. So if you know that you need a 25% deposit plus then a few extra costs on the side, then you can start to work out how long is it going to take you to get there to buy that first property, be that a HMO, a flip, a buy-to-let. And then you also need to be thinking about momentum in the future as well. So once you've planned for the first property, how are you going to work on the second property and the third and the fourth? Because if you put all of your money into the very first deal and lock that money away, then you're going to have to save up all over again for the second property. Now, yes, you could rent out the property and that's an additional revenue stream, and that could be then part of your financial plan and property business plan, but have a think about that, because you might then just buy a property in 2 years' time and then it's going to take you another 3 to 5 years to save up the same deposit again. So have a think about that momentum side of things and how you're going to work on the next deal and the next deal. To bring this all to life, I do a few different things online. So I freelance on Fiverr.com and sell different design and SEO services, and that is it's been making a killing actually recently. It's about £2,000 to £3,000 a month, which is incredible. That then goes into a limited company, and then I filter that up into a holding company and then down into a property company to invest. I then also got Skillshare classes as well, which make around $400 to $500 a month, which is great. It's an extra little pot of money. I rent out the spare room in my flat, so you can start to see here that I'm creating multiple streams of income to then start saving for this deposit, which means that my salary working for a bank is completely disposable, because I can use that to pay for the flat and my general expenses, and then everything on the side goes purely into savings rather than living. And then for my property business plan, it breaks down into 3 different phases. So the first phase is around buy-to-lets and flips. So this will help give me the experience, firstly to work with bridging lenders, also manage refurb projects, managing a builder, and starting to build up that experience. Phase 2 is more around HMOs and cash flow. So once I've got the initial experience and I have a buy-to-let and tenants, I can then get better rates with mortgages and with the lenders by showing that I have previous experience and unlocking the better rates on the mortgages. This then means I can start to build up a HMO portfolio, and then from there I would love to look at phase 3, which is more around diversification. So taking a big commercial building and chopping it up into mixed use. For example, you could have a coffee shop or a yoga studio on the ground floor, you'd then have a HMO on the middle floor, and then maybe a simple buy-to-let on the top. And really mixing that up will help protect against any changes in the market. I'm sure things will change over time, but it'll help me really work on what I need to do to keep on financing the next project and the next project, and then how do I find more money for a bigger HMO project from there and keep that velocity going. And that's why I'm really thinking about it now and how it all fits together, how the side hustles and the spare room kind of all plan together financially. That's all part of my business plan. And the number one one thing that you should be thinking about, working on and improving is your education and training within the property world. Now, you do not need to spend your hard-earned money on these really expensive property courses. They're really not worth it and equate to as much as a colouring in book. You really do not need to take one of those expensive courses, because the money that you would spend on one of those courses is probably just the same amount as what you'd spend on a house deposit. Therefore, you'd learn more just by doing it and learning the ropes in person rather than sat in a stuffy hotel room learning from a fake guru. My YouTube channel has loads of information, and I'm building up 1 to 2 videos a week all about property and the things that I'm learning to help then share that with other people who are just 1 or 2 steps behind me. I also highly recommend listening to podcasts as well, so you could listen to Inside Property Investing, which is run by Mike Stenhouse, and that is absolutely fantastic. They have hundreds of episodes, loads of great reviews, loads of amazing interviews with other inspiring property investors as well. Or you could check out Property Hub by the two Robs, and they have an incredible podcast, and they also have a Thursday version where you can ask questions and they'll answer them on the podcast as well. So have a listen to all of those and you'll start to be immersed into that world and start to learn the lingo and really understand what people are talking about, some of the risks, the pitfalls, the great side of property investing, and you'll just really get a good feel for everything. And that's what I mean by training and education. Just immerse yourself in and learn what there is to learn. Before the virus, I was attending local property meetings, meeting people in person, and it was really great fun, and I was just having a good time learning and soaking everything up as a bit of a sponge. I then also started my Instagram page as well, and I have now around 1,500 followers, which is incredible. But I've also met some really genuinely interesting and useful people in there as a part of my network. I've met a broker on there who's going to be helping finance some of the property deals in the future. I've met other property investors, I've met solicitors on there. There are some really inspiring projects as well where I've taken great inspiration to decorate and look at interior design on a property as well. So it has been a great resource, and I haven't even bought the first property yet. Even starting this YouTube channel, I built it up to around 750 subscribers before I've even bought the real first property, which is great because I'm creating this community of like-minded people who can learn from this kind of beginner's process that I'm going through. So to bring this all together and wrap it up, if you have £10,000, it's a great start, but it's not enough to really get started in property. The key thing is keep on saving, think about your business plan and your strategy, and then just keep on learning, be a sponge and soak up all of that free education online around the property sector. You'll be able to analyze deals and really hit the ground running and be a successful, mature property investor. I hope you found this useful. I've got loads of other great videos like this one at the top just here, which is a day in the life of a property investor, viewing properties and checking them out. Or you can look at the one on the bottom, which is actually a 25-minute video of me calling up and talking to estate agents on the phone. So feel free to choose one of these, and I'll see you on the other side.